Sitaram, and thank you for joining us. You are about to enjoy a satsang by Pandit Keshava Gosine. You can call or WhatsApp Pandit Keshava Gosine at 712-2180. Sitaram, and do enjoy this presentation.
Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. Sitaram everybody, and welcome to our second session of Yagya, coming here from the ashram, Sri Krsna Seva Ashram. Myself, Pandit Keshava Gosine, with you. And as I said last night, we wanted to do discourses focusing on the Garbhadhan Sanskar, discussing the intricacies of this sanskar that is not discussed too often, and you'll hear a little bit about it tonight, and maybe why it's a taboo topic for some pundits. But last night we did Mahabharata discourse, and for many people, based on your messages, for many people it would have been the first time you heard of the son of Arjun, Abhimanyu. He is born to Subhadra Devi. His mamu is Lord Krishna, mother's brother. And Abhimanyu is described as he's the best of Yudhishthir, Bhim, Nakul, Sahadev. He has all the traits of his mamu, all the traits of his father, all combined into one individual. He's so powerful, he is so charming, he is so handsome, he has all the good traits in him. And we entered into the Abhimanyu Parva of the Mahabharata, Drona Parva, the bigger Parva, where the war is in full swing and the Vir Chakra, a political war mechanism to kill, to destroy the opponent. This is being made now by Dronacharya. So many soldiers more or less going in a circle to entrap the person inside so that the other people cannot get to him. And in one critical verse, the story goes on about he was fighting and destroying. And then at a point when he goes into the circle, he's overcome by the attack of 6 of them. There's no principle, there's no logic. They see a 16-year-old boy and his own family uses the opportunity where he's by himself, he's isolated, to overpower him in a summary. But in one verse at the beginning, to Yudhishthir, his uncle, he says, "My father taught me all the science of how to make the Vir Chakra, how to enter the Vir Chakra, but he did not get to teach me how to come out, how to escape. So if I am overcome that inside of that chakra, I am in trouble." And Yudhishthira says, "You cut apart. Give us a road and we will follow you, but you will not be isolated. Fear not." Unfortunately, as the story went on, he ends up being isolated. And as a result, he dies. Yudhishthira, the forces are distraught. In the latter part of that chapter, he's heard calling back all the soldiers, "Don't leave, don't run. That great personality has fallen, but we still have strength." But he's broken, he's decimated as Mahabharata went on. So as I said last night, my approach in this discourse, these 3 nights, was to start at the end. So we see the hero, we see the child, we see the persona, and now to introduce how is it done. What does our books talk about? How do you make the child? Do you remember me saying, people complain, "Baba, I made the child, but I didn't make their mind." My friend, I'm saying it again tonight, maybe you didn't know how to do. But you listen to Pandit Keshava tonight as we go through, no secret, our sanskars, our books, and I'll reference them so that you can have a read, you can find them yourself. There's no secret. In fact, I have served my purpose if more people want to know more about our texts and our dharma. So I encourage it. Do your research and read. Show the interest in your dharma. It is so great. Hence, Sanatan, everlasting, permanent, immortal dharma principles. Because they guide you and they have remained here for so long. Tonight we'll be touching in Gita to hear what Lord Krishna has to touch on this topic. Believe it or not, he does. And we are reading from chapter 15, Pret Kand of the Garud Puran. We also touch on Vyas Smriti, the Griha Sutras, to explain how to do what we want to do. And in the last part of our discourse tonight, in the very last part, I will use one example given in Garud Puran, given in Vishnu Puran, and it is dealt with at length in the Brahmavaivat Puran, Shashti Vrat, Shashti Mata Puja, and what is that about? And then tomorrow night we're going to talk about Payo Vrat to help people who are in this position. Tonight, my dear friends, I approach you with humility and humbly I ask you for the maturity within you. Pandit Keshava, you know, I don't stay away from the touchy topics because for many people, why are you going to talk about this tonight, Baba? Making children? Oh my God. Because for many people, they have problems to conceive. And then the second problem, they have to keep the pregnancy. The third problem, the child born, and the child is born with defects. Fourth problem, sometimes when the child is born perfect, and the child is growing up. The attitude, the trouble, the pain. One mother, she comes the other day to speak to me and she was saying, Baba, grow this girl and I mind this girl, and it was just me and her, you know, daddy long gone, left us, and I did all I had to do for my one daughter, and she comes and she scrambled me and she hold me also and she ring up my face, break the glasses. And this is a girl child in this example. I am sure there are people who have had, but out of shame, we don't say it, but who have had similar or even worse scenarios, situations, examples. Sometimes children let you down. Sometimes children make mistakes. And the question that parents ask, what did I do to deserve this? Why? And last night I touched on the nurture topic. It's a very vast discussion. 2 minutes in a discourse like this would not give it justice. I accept that. For those children that are doing their bachelor's and further in psychology, you will know more. In the rearing of a child, what does it take to develop the mind? Is it only the environment? Is it only the genetics or the family? The qualities of the mother and the father? Or is it the friends, the water we drink, the quality of the food? So let's use that as an example, the food. Hinduism prohibits and discourage too much of meat being involved in those young, growing development age for the purpose, for one, karma. Somebody will say from a dietitian's perspective, it's protein, it has good, no argument. But from the karmic side and the child's gentle digestive tract, there's a time as the child solidifies, then we could go that way. And then from the slaying of the animal, according to Shiv Puran or Devi Bhagavad, I'll get that back for you, 6 people get sin when an animal is slaughtered. The person who owns the animal, the person who pays to have the animal slaughtered, the person who does the work, the person who cooks the food, the person who buys, the person who eats. So in an instant like that, there are rules to make the child. And then there are exceptions, when to conceive, when not to conceive. Tonight I just want to broach the topic with you. And at the end of it, I'm sure there are people, responsible people, and you'll hear where that is coming from. Baba, we want to know more. We want to know more about the press because we want to conceive. We're having little problems. That's one side. The other side is we want to have the best child. You know, in our family, there's a history of heart problem. There's a history of epilepsy. There's a history of ADHD. We have different challenges. And we would like to do what we could do to have a healthy baby, please. In a case like that, feel free to message me and I will guide you further. It have parts that I would explain, it have parts I can print out and give it to you so that you and your partner can execute the necessary. This is a ceremony that is done between husband and wife and God, truthfully. Let me say that first. Many people put stigma on a married person's sex life, and that is a mistake. Many people mistake what is marriage. Many people, I've heard many people say, Baba, marriage is just a signature, it's just permission to have sex. But not in Hinduism. Hinduism refers to the householder lifestyle, the householder part of your life, as the Grihasti Ashram. Why that word ashram? Grihasti translates into householder. Householder means, yes, I am now in a family way and I want to go further in that. I want to achieve a home, build a house, work, buy and attain comforts and facilities in this life and share that with a spouse and in time children, etc. Grihasti. But why the word ashram? What does the word ashram mean? Ashram is a place of spiritual teaching. So you hear mandir. Mandir means a place of worship, a place of only worship. One day that place is closed and everybody goes home unless you're living there. But in an ashram, teaching is ongoing. Children come, whether there's a religious function or studies or some meeting, some type of learning, sharing, counseling. All of these things can happen in an ashram. And when a person enters into this ashram, where you are learning the spiritual knowledge of householder, it means then that married life has to have a certain amount of divinity in it. A certain amount of karma that allows a person to lift themselves higher, reaching closer to God, etc. So let's imagine common examples. You will see after a girl gets married, she worships her husband as Mahavishnu. You will see after a boy gets married, he does Jaya Home in the fire, asking different forms of God for blessing and forgiveness if he hurts the girl. The father gets to do Kanyadan if the girl upkeeps herself. Let's be real, how often we get to do Kanyadan nowadays, to be honest. Tulsi Discourse says the woman who does her duty in her home, her family is maintained, that woman will find mukti before the man who is doing puja. Bhagavad Gita chapter 1 talks about what is Kali Yuga. It gives a definition of Kali Yuga. When the women in society fail to teach, fail to do their duty, then you are in Kali Yuga. So it shows a precedent of the importance of women in the home, in the family, to teach and edify the next generation, to feed them, to sustain them, not only from nourishment or a physical level, but spiritual as well. This spirituality in marriage, there are many examples. And one way, one area, is the sex life of husband and wife. Because from this coming together of coitus of husband and wife, we have children coming. So tonight, and I'm doing this introduction to explain myself very carefully. In the Grihasti Ashram, there's a spirituality towards the art of blessing the food before we eat. The art of the wife sitting on the right hand side when certain prayers have to be done. The art of Stapana Murti, for example, going to Tirat, doing Shraddha, doing different things. There's a way, there's an art to it. Yagya, etc. Community work. Say what somebody's roof blow off, I want to go and take part and I want my wife to help me. Good job. All these things are there. And what does it do? It brings you closer to God in a different way, in a shared experience with your life partner is what we see. So if I'm going to do all these things, the first thing is choose your life partner carefully. In a subsequent broadcast where I was reading Shiv Puran, I spoke about checking the compatibility. I elucidated at length the importance of doing proper research, choosing this person. So we are going one step further now. On the assumption that you have chosen the person correctly, tonight, in one regard, we're going to talk about the spirituality associated with the sexual side of husband and wife. Husband and wife. We are not talking about husband and husband. We are not talking about boyfriend and girlfriend. We are not talking about children making children. No. And you'll hear it. What is allowed and what is not allowed. Please accept my introduction. And as I come into your home, via the support from Sankhya and the blessings of our sponsor, wherever you are in this world, tonight get ready to understand the making of a child. As we discuss the Garbhadhan Sanskar. We enter into Garud Puran chapter 15 of the Pret Khand, where Garud is asking Mahavishnu about the coming of children, coming of souls. Before we do so, let's join our hands as we say Pratna. Om Gajananam Bhotaganadi Sevitam Kapeta Jambo Palachara Bhakshitam Umasutam Sho Kavinashkarakam Namami Viganeshwara
Parapankajam
Sarva Mangala Mangalye
Shive
Vat Sadhike Sharanye Trayambike Gauri Narayani Namostude. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhurvasva Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasva Tatsaviturvarenyam. Everybody. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona
Prachodayat.
Om Bhurvasvaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai Umapati Mahadeva ki Jai. Let's enter as Lord Vishnu is speaking to Garud in his latter part of Garud Puran. Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah. Narayanaya
Krishnaya Paramatma
He Namo Namah. Dharmatma sarvaghatyatam bhuktaye jayate vimale pula atasya tasya asura pitang janani jatare yevara. Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatma He Namo Namah. Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. Guruji says, Prabhu, the righteous man, having enjoyed all the heavenly regions, the different loks, he is going to be born in a stainless family, beyond reproach, where he's going to be born to people, to not only father and mother, but the grandparents. Think about the child that has the exposure to the love, the nurturing, the care of the grandparents. A common complaint that I get, especially from my friends in places like New York, in places like England, where they have an older parent living with the young people. They go to work, and Baba, they have us tending to these children. We are never at rest. We never get a break. Whilst I agree that could be rough. When God is the one who makes you the grandparent, please just consider this. You love those children. And only a grandparent could show that love. The same lesson. You yourself, 40 years ago, when the child made that mistake, it was licks, it was buff, it was a stern look. But now, as age has come, the same lesson. Bad is bad, good is good. But the same person says, oh, don't rough up the baby. Don't hit the child. Baby, and you go do that again? Yes, ma. That is the value of the grandparent. This person, oh Mahavishnu, he is born in such a family. She is born in such a family. Tell me how he or she is produced in the womb of a mother. I wish to hear about this body that is being created. The person of good deeds. This is the person I want to hear about, Mahavishnu. May you please, oh storehouse of Kripa, Kripa Raj, may you please tell me, dear God, have that mercy upon me. Tell me how good people are made. Mahavishnu replies to him. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. 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 Sadhu Prishti Tvaya Taraksha Parangopyatvami Te Yasya Vidyana Mantra Sarvat Shata Prajayata Vyakshyami Cha Sharira Swarupa Param Tikaram. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radha Ramana Hari Bol. Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. Mahavishnu says, "O great bird, you have asked a good question, and I will tell you the supreme secret. Even by knowing this, a person is called Jnani, Vipra. He is knowledgeable. I will tell you the true nature of the body and all the attributes, all the various chakras, the 6 chakras that make up this thing, the nature of Chit Anand, all the different things that are placed together. And it begins with that person who has done good deeds. He is born in a home that is pure and prosperous. Pure and prosperous. Purity is not only physical bathing and cleansing. Purity comes from the mind, the activity, the occupation, the person, let's say we are looking at the parents now. The parents, this is not the type where the father is going to go to jail and leave the mother to rear this child on her own. This is a home where the nurturing, both parents are there to hold this child and to raise this child up. Purity also comes from what is going into the body. In Bhagavad Gita, he talks about the 3 modes of food. Sattvic food, pure food, healthy food, food that brings life, gives the natural energy. For example, we know if we have the carrot, easy example, and we cut the carrot up and we put it in a salad, all the energy, all the nutrients, all the stored good in that carrot goes into the body for the body to digest and use. But cook it, and all the bonds that are between the molecules break with the heat of cooking. So the carrot comes soft now. It looks nice, it might taste nice, but it is verily dead. It loses a good portion of the nutrition. It loses the value. Fresh is the best. Preserved, microwaved, stale, spoiled, all these things are considered to be tamasic. So when a person is born into a home where the diet might be vegetarian, where the diet is, we don't eat stale food in this house, for example. It's not only against meat, please understand. Where the person is brought in a home where they are not alcoholics, for example, healthy bodies making healthy children, and the prosperity means the child does not have to suffer. When a person does charity and they do good, they share food, we have puja. It says the prayer where food is not shared is an incomplete prayer. When this type of dhan is being done, then when the person has to come back, should the person have to come upon the earth, then they will never be in want of clothing, housing, food, etc. All amenities are there. I will tell you about the rites and the observances that parents follow in order to get what they want. Now I'm using Garud Puran as an introduction to our topic tonight. Let's hear what he says. Jai Bole Baba Tab Sharanam, Jai Bole Baba Tab Sharanam, Jai Bole Baba Tab Sharanam, Jai Samba Sada Shiva Tab Sharanam, Jai Samba Sada
Shiva Tab Sharanam.
Ritu Kale Tu Nariyan Tvaja Ye Nachte Ye Yashtam Tayatre Kal Naya Chakra पापन ये व्यापुदेयाति जय बोले बाबा तब शरणम जय बोले बाबा तब शरणम वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय. Ritukal basically means after the unclean period. Some texts refer to it as the passage or the breaking down of the lining of the uterus, the womb. That time, after that time has passed, from the fourth day after, when all the fluid from the woman has passed, she becomes pure on the fourth day after that time, 4 days after, for dealing with any remnant particles, any remnant hormone in her system. The body is allowed to settle. And in this way, she is considered to be fit after this period of time to even do, if she has to do, she becomes, the word here, she becomes fit to perform the rites to worship on behalf of the Pitras and the Devtas. During this period when she is going through the monthly cycle, she is considered impure and not fit to do worship for the forefathers or the Devtas. And here now, he starts to talk from the 4th day to the 16th day after the cycle. This is where it is a practice of based on the Smriti, etc. When husband and wife come together to do the Garbhadan Sanskar, different outcome. And I'm doing it backwards. I'm reading from, where is it? Vyas Smriti. In the Vyas Smriti, it says that there are different sanskars, 16 in total, that guide or is done for a person's development. So we know the major one at the end, we have the funeral. We know the wedding. There is stuff to be done before the baby is conceived and after the baby is conceived and after the baby is born. So the one we are talking about is the first one, to conceive. This is when husband and wife are going to come together to start to make the baby. Punvasham is the one that is done on the 3rd month to ensure the embryo is not lost, but it remains attached to the mother, growing. Sintumanian Sanskar, this is done around 6 months' time, give or take, the pregnancy. And in the 8th month, this is where people do Shashti Puja, in preparation now for the child to be born, where we do Jat Karam, Nam Karan, etc. In this time, when husband and wife are going to come together, there are certain rules that are to be followed. On certain days where conception is prohibited. Conception is prohibited on the day that the father or the mother, those constellation or the nakshatra, it should not be the same. The conception should not be done when it is eclipse, when it is Sankranti, days such as Diwali, Navratri, full moon, new moon. This part, Baudhyan, a great writer in the sutras, the Griha Sutra, or the book Griha again from Grihasti, the sutras that guide the householder lifestyle, the rules then, as it were. He says that people are limited from conceiving during the time because people are supposed to be focused on, for example, the Ekadasi Brat, worshipping of Lord Vishnu on the 11th day after the full moon or the new moon, the Ashtami, etc. So that is why it's saying not Diwali, not Navratri, etc. Then it talks about Ritukal. Ritukal is, again as I said, ovulation, the passage, and then the breaking down of the womb, of the lining of the womb. Different things have to be in place. The mood of the lady. The child is able to become part of the female body Su Ritukal is the best time for these two people to come, just before the ovulation. Ritukal, or the day of the ovulation, is good. And the Garbhadan Sanskar should be done in the Shukla Paksh, or the bright fortnight of any given month that this is going to happen. Why? It brings about children that are intelligent, have long life, beautiful, handsome, boy or girl, courageous. There are rules or exceptions where conception should not be done. For example, if the lady is in some sick way, or she has some sickness, if she's angry, if she's upset, she should not be conceiving. It sounds strange to say these things because many people, as I said before, many people think marriage and the sexual side of life is just for passion, it is just for enjoyment. In fact, in the Griha Sutra it says that the person who is going into marriage for the purpose of coming together as husband and wife, his focus should be the procreating process for the benefit of the family by making the best child, healthiest child, mentally equipped child. Notice in this verse here, it talks about the intelligence of the child. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 11, O Arjun, of the mighty I am the mighty. I am free from passion and desire. In beings, in forms, whether human or otherwise, I am the sexual desire that does not conflict with virtue or scriptural injunction. So the scriptural injunctions are the rules that it must be conducive between husband and wife. It must not be practically rape. One want, one don't want, but the other, this one is forcing himself on the weaker sex. Then no, that is against scriptural injunction. Then that is against virtue. Then the child that comes from such coming together is not going to have the best disposition. This has to be planned. This has to be something that is going to bring about the best. So people plan which star is ruling at the time. Just as how we might want to put date for prayers in the most appropriate time, etc. Lord Krishna says, I am the sexual desire. So sexual desire cannot be a bad thing. But when it goes haywire, when it becomes animalistic, when it becomes bestiality, when it becomes wrong, when it becomes unnatural, that is where you are going without virtue, when you're going against scripture. So tonight we are going to talk a little bit about what the scripture says. So what is the ceremony? In the preparation, and again I'm reading from Vyas Smriti, in the preparation and the Gautam Dharam Sutra, in the preparation for the coming together, people perform worship. To whom? Lord Vishnu. So in the prayer, there's a lot of focus. The layout is very simple. If there's a shaligram, we worship him. If not, we get a kalsa, we would use a coconut, and different forms. Ganesh is a major form in this puja. And we worship Ganapati Baba and all Devi, Shiva, etc. Shaligram is very important. And the couple, the wife is on the right hand side, husband on the left hand side, and they worship. Agni Devta is invited. Different forms of Agni is invited. And the energy of this form is being asked, please come within the egg and the sperm and allow us to make the best child, as you will hear just now. After doing the puja, people do Putrishti Yagya, people do Payo Brat in preparation for this coming together. People do Shrishti Brat, they do different type of jap, using different type of mantras as Shivratri now passed. On Shivratri night, people pray for the qualities of the children. And that might sound strange to you, but we'll find it just now as we go further. They pray, they eat properly. What is eating properly? Abstention from things that are considered tamasic. Abstention from simple things like what we learn today in science in the Western world. I believe it's casein, I could be corrected on that, I'll take correction. The casein that is found in papaya or papaya is bad for the womb. It could help you in one way, but it causes in some instances, in some women, the miscarriage or stillbirth. So there are things we eat, there are things we don't eat. Last time we spoke about the gemology, the wearing of different metals and gems to enhance the aura of the person. Garbha Upachar is done to do the worship, and the mother is praying, dear God, may you stabilize my pregnancy, may you stabilize my body, my mind, and her mind makes a difference. So for this reason, we cut out some of the pepper. Why pepper is bad? The capsicum, or what burns your mouth, that has an effect on the blood pressure. The blood pressure is going to have an effect on the stability of the ovum as it is growing. We want to remain calm. We want to be cool. We don't want one of the restrictions is don't go into the sun too much. Don't put yourself at risk. Don't get rest and allow, especially in the first trimester or the first 3 months, to allow the pregnancy to become more stable. These prayers are done, the planning of food, the colors depending on, and this is what your Baba could give you, your Rasi name, you will hear of the gem you're supposed to wear, the color you're supposed to wear, so that the person who is maybe going to work and would like to come into this lifestyle this way, the lady can still wear things that would enhance her aura and allow the pregnancy to happen. Different combinations of rice and milk, different things are mixed together, if it be a girl child you're praying for or a boy child. Very strange, Baba. How could you say that? Very strange. If you want a boy, if you want a girl, what are you talking about? This is repeated in the Vira Mitra Daya Sanskar Prakasha. It's a book. But he says, back to Garuda Puran, it is declared that the conception that happens between man and woman during the even days will bring about a son, and the odd days a girl. What you talking about, Pandit? Let's start with new moon, and I'm going towards full moon. First day after, third day after, fifth day after, seventh day after, etc. Those are the odd days. They will bring girl children. Second day, fourth day, sixth day, eighth day, up the road, onwards to the end of the fortnight, and the vice versa for the same if it has from the full moon to the new moon. But as I said, the bright fortnight is what you're looking for. It brings more benefit. When these things are followed, different qualities of children are possible. The staying away from pungent, acidic, astringent, overly hot food is totally to be avoided. Husbands need to be like husbands and plant in the field, listen to this verse, plant in the field of the astringent, the grain that will yield a good harvest. Therefore, men chew different type of herbs to rid themselves of bacteria, like antibiotic type of thing. Some people chew betel. It says here betel. Some people, that's the supari where they cut it and grate it and they would chew it. There are different things, natural things that a person would eat to ingest to ensure that in the seminal fluid there is no bacteria going into the woman. Wearing clean clothes, having taken bath. In Vishnu Puran it says, if you are unclean, do not come together, do not copulate for the purpose of children. Purity in mind, purity in body. So we sit down, we do worship, we do Havan, elaborate Havan, and then with these things in mind, we have bath again, we get dressed, and in a private way, husband and wife they are going to come together. And what is the idea? What is the thought? What are they thinking about? The husband sits facing east. The wife will reverse her body her back is touching the chest of her husband. And in the private section, in the privacy is the better word, of husband and wife, listen to the decision that they are about to make. Using mantras, the husband touches his wife and he's praying. Which one do you want? Guru Puran is the source of this information, and it is referred in different places. If a person fertilizes in regard to a son now, on the fourth night from the end of the menstrual cycle, it produces a short-lived son. If fertilization or conception happens on the sixth night after the menstrual cycle, it produces a son with average lifespan. If fertilization happens on the eighth night after the menstrual cycle has stopped, a powerful, affluent son is coming. If the fertilization happens on the 10th night after the menstrual cycle, in the fortnight period, a clever son, and that could be good and it could be bad. Clever son is possible. Fertilization, when it happens on the 12th night, produces a son of great qualities. A fertilization that happens on the 14th night produces a son of supreme quality, both in the secular realm as well as spiritual realm, in praying as well as working as the science, in the job, the business, whatever have you. Very apt. Fertilization that happens on the 16th night after the menstrual cycle brings about a perfect son. Bear in mind, Baba, we make them, but we never make them mine. The person, the husband and wife in this moment, in this private moment, they are mixing the butter. They are making the mix to make the cake, the cupcake that you want. In this life, you are in control of your destiny, parents. You are in control of what is going to come from your family, what is going to come from your name, ladies, what is going to come from your body. Will you be the type of parent, we'll do it before we close tonight, the Damodar, where Lord Krishna is pulling your shoulder, pulling your shoulder. Mommy, come, I'm giving trouble, I want all your attention, come. Will you have that type of experience with your child where it is as if you are in heaven? Or will you regret, as some parents do when their child commits murder, steals, robs, they have to go to jail, they're sentenced to the hangman's noose, etc. They regret bringing a child like that. Look what this child did to innocent, to other people. They are parents. Because, for example, whenever I have to deal with a suicide funeral, who suffers? The parents have to account. So you didn't know he was going to kill himself? You didn't know he was going to do that heinous crime? What will the mother see? She's lost her child and now she has to feel ashamed of that same child, but it is still her child. What a predicament. So if I am mixing the butter, go back to the beginning of the child. We don't know what we're going to get. The idea and the concept is, I don't know, is like, as I said when we were talking about marriage, we bind cat in bag, in that analogy. We make children and we, wow, I wonder how this one will turn out. I wonder what this one will be like. Our text does not teach this. Our text talk about just as how Baba's, let me say we read the Patra, and it mark in the conversation between Bhairu Baba and Devi Mata, it is a prediction that there's an accident coming, for example. Or maybe for one of us looking on in Canada or wherever, we have COVID, we're under lockdown, we're under restriction, and we are frustrated. And we say, you know what? We're going to do Brihaspati Bij mantra. We are going to Shanti Gra, that affects the breathing, the lung. We are going to focus our energies to get out of this quagmire, to come out of this problem. So I'm taking control of my life. I'm going to Shivratri, I'm going to pray for the qualities of a husband, so I'll get the best husband. I'm going to do Trayambakam Jap, so that my health, my welfare and well-being will be secured. But when it comes to making the most important cake in your life, you're telling me I'm going to just leave it up to chance. And by chance, some people really come out good. I wouldn't say no. Your karma is that good. It is possible. We're hearing it in Gurd Puran tonight. But he says that when a good child enters into the womb, the giver of the highest bliss, for him, all the numerous rights, punyavasam, garbhadan, all these other things, such souls, such great souls, are given all the opportunity by the sanskar, because the parents want to do the best. Maybe they buy the best milk. Think about again the diet, the nutrition. They want to go to the best school. They want you to have the best and look your best. Son, let's go and cut your hair. Let's look nice. Baby, I'll buy you this for your birthday. Son, you are learning to drive. I'll buy you a car. Parents provide. But in the making of the cake, forget the icing around. Forget all the nice things we buy. Are you going to, learning and listening to this tonight, are you telling me you're going to take a chance with the core, the heart of the individual? Think about the health. Short-lived, average lifespan is possible. Suppose a person wants to have a daughter. Fertilization on the 5th night from the day of the end of the menstrual cycle produces a daughter who is sterile or barren. Fertilization on the 7th night after the mens finishes brings about a daughter who mentally is not there, mentally is weak. Fertilization on the 9th night brings about an affluent, powerful daughter that brings about blessings for father and everybody. Fertilization on the 11th night brings about an intelligent girl that might be very cunning and might have bad character. There are parents who will call, and this applies to both boy and girl. Oh God, Baba, where I do. Every time they talk to somebody on Facebook, every time they see somebody in the job, Baba, oh God, if I could permanently put a blindfold over their eye and lock them like the dog in the kennel, and I am not saying this, many parents say this. If I could just lock them in the room until this period passes and maybe better sense come, because they are out of control. This is where it starts. This is where it is coming from. If father and mother copulate, practice coitus irresponsibly, then according to our text, according to the practice of the Hindu, then you may not be pleased with the outcome of such relations. And it is this that explains why there's variations. The mind, the mode of the parents at the time of conception. Not to mention things like the karma of the soul that is coming. But if you do it properly, maybe you'll get a soul that has a lot of good, is what he's saying in that verse in Gurd Puran. And if we do it haphazardly, dokedam, having copulation with people who is not your spouse, any old time, you don't care about the other person's opinion, if they are in a mood, if they are hungry, if they are ill, think about the mindset of the lady, and you still want your way. The child that comes from that will be different. When you compare, she's happy. It makes a difference. Let's continue. Fertilization that happens on the 13th night after the end of the menstrual cycle brings about a daughter that will bring children. Not only will she have excellent qualities, but she will bring forward children that have excellent qualities as well. This is the girl that keeps her head up. This is the girl that allows the father to do Kanya Dhan. This is the one that does allow the father to give the biggest, best gift that a person can give, a righteous, excellent daughter. Fertilization on the 15th night produces a daughter who brings fortune, who is very spiritual and is near or is perfect in terms of behavior, lifespan, happiness, etc. Om Devaki Sutta Govinda Vasudev Jagatpati Dhimahi Tanayam Krishna Tvam Maham Sharanam Gataha. O son of Devaki, O Govind, please bless me with a son in this mantra. Bless me with a son that is like you. I bow to you, I beg you, I need your help. Please help me. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. With the merit, the soul comes into a family with high values, not necessarily caste. But in chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita, I said just now, Kali Yuga is when the mothers stop teaching. They don't expound, they don't discipline, they don't. And it is so unfortunate that it is so prevalent today. Whenever I sit with teachers and we're talking about the school, let's forget COVID and all that it brought. Children are no longer as respectable to teachers as they were in years gone by. And one of the causes of that is the breakdown in homes, where parents no longer are parents, but they are attempting to be friends. And it is dealt with in Bhagavad, when in the description of what will happen in Kali Yuga. Parent will want to make friend with children against the other parent. The same two people, and I'll read it in Mahabharata for you. The same two people that are responsible for the fostering of what is between the ears, the genes, the genetics, what this child will become, instruments, studies, extra lessons, the sacrifice that is needed to make this child what we would like to get this child to become. One is fighting the other. Sometimes not even in divorce, they're still married, they're together. But you see, he had the way you talk to your father. You see, she, ignore she. You see when she quarreling? I just ignore she, you should ignore she too. Don't worry, two are we going to ignore she, and two are we going to be partners. Don't frighten. I have your back. Don't worry. And like that now, the child is going to go astray. Because that is the example, apparently today, of how fathers and mothers should be. So now, fast forward the story. When the father playing this game, this dangerous game with children, makes friends and encourages, ignore the one that is quarreling or trying to inculcate the good in you. Ignore that person. The day the child goes wrong, who's going to correct that child? His friend? Friend can't take up anything to correct him, to hit him. He would not have fear or any regard or respect. That is my friend. That is at my level. Parents are no longer parents. In many homes that have problems with children, look at the parents. They want to be absorbed in their own life and they're neglecting the needs of children, or they are busy trying to be friends. Tonight I'm highlighting this point for you to say, Pandit, you're wrong. I want to be wrong. When I am wrong, that's a good thing. When you can say, Pandit, I'm different, good. And I want you to message me. I'm saying this now. You have my number on the screen. Add me on WhatsApp. Add me. Send me a message. Send me a message on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel so that you can follow me when we are doing satsang like this. And tell me I'm wrong. Tell me what you do different. Tell me the qualities that you involve and inculcate in your children. Let's continue. He grown up in his parents' house, endowed with learning, modesty, becomes skillful in some form of science, business, literal science, some work by association with the wise. In his youth, he is divinely handsome, wealthy, benevolent, very compassionate, arising from the results from the great merit, 1, the karma, 2, the austerities that would have been done before and that would have been done at the time of conception coming forward. These things prepare the person. These things prepare for the elements to come together, as he's describing from here going forward, about the body that is being formed within the mother. When we go to funeral and we talk about the elements, the skin, for example, the skin, the bones, the nerves, the hair, the flesh, those things fall under the umbrella of the earth element. Saliva, urine, sperm, the egg, marrow, blood, these come under the water element. Hunger, thirst, sleepiness, laziness, sexual desire, these things come under the fire tattva or element. Bending, running, jumping, stretching, moving, these forms of activity come under the air tattva. Speech, thought, mental and out, delusion, mental instability, madness, different types of schizophrenia, different type of phobia, fear. These things come from the ether or the space between atomic particles. Now the body is starting to form. These things are coming together. And the mind, the reason, the individualism, the analysis or the ability to make analysis comes from or is made by virtue of past karma. Vrindavan Bihari Lala ki jai. He goes on to talk at length about the different air, the different pingala, the different things that come together in the body. So imagine the mind of the parent. We are not buying cat and bag. Husband is sitting, his legs are out. Wife is there, her legs are out. And they are thinking about what I just read. And they're talking to God, Lord Vishnu. And I wrote down one of the mantras from the procedure. The husband, when we go to Viva Sanskar, Hriday Sparsh is, you will see the man come from behind. And on the wife's heart, Hriday means heart, Sparsh means to touch. He holds her here. And he makes a pledge as the mantra is recited to keep her, to take care of her, to keep her happy. Health as well as choices, nourishment. He'll provide. When we are doing different nyas, when we are touching different parts of the body, using different methodology to purify the body, all these things are also part of our procedures. And the purification by the touching comes coupled with mantra. So after doing Mahavishnu Puja, after doing Putrishri Yagya, Matrika Puja, and all these other forms that are worshipped, prasad, people might be fed. How this usually works. In Brahmavaivat Puran, in the discourse where Lord Krishna, I've read this for you before, where Lord Krishna is reincarnated now based on the prayer of Parvati Mata as Ganesh Baba. They did their puja in the morning, they shared food, they did prasad just as what we would do. And in the evening time, night time, husband and wife are going to come together in a private moment. Likewise, sitting now together, he takes his right hand around her right waist and touches her yoni or private part just above where the lower belly, where the womb is. Om Vishnu Yonim Kalpayatu Achyutaya Rupani Pimshatu Ashinchatu Harigharvadam Jagdish Dadatu Te. Again coming from the Gautam Griha Sutra. May Lord Vishnu prepare your womb. Yoni refers to the private part, reproductive organ of the female. You've heard yoni before when we were doing the discourse with the lingam. Female underneath holding the male or the lingam. May Achyutaya fashion the form of the body based on what we just talked about. Manipulate the elements to form the lips, the ears, the hair of the baby, the eyes of the child, the bone, the body. Let the bones, for example, make the red blood cells and continue to fashion everything in perfection. When we were doing the Damodar Stotra last night, it says in there, let your red rosy cheeks that were red because of the kisses of Yashoda, let that be ingrained in my mind. With this type of thought, I am building my child. The father says, may Hari Vishnu carry out the fertilization of the joining of the male and the female seed together. May by his will allow the sperm to reach to the egg and let fertilization happen. Let that sperm journey and overcome all the trials that it will face. For the children in school, you know what I'm talking about. And allow this natural, amazing process of male and female coming together, the formation of the zygote. Let that happen by the virtue and the power of Sri Hari Vishnu. May Jagadish, Jai Jagadish, may Jagdish bring a child to you. Om, as she turns around and she holding her husband, she says the prayer. Om Ahirashi Ayurashi Sarvata Pratishtitam Dhata Tvam Dadatu Vidata Tvam Dadatu Brahm Varchasya Bhava. You are like the sun, you are my longevity, you are my life, you are my prestige, O husband. May that God, Data, which is a form of Surya Narayana Swami, Vidata, same. God of protection is Data, God of creation, Vidata, should protect you and protect myself as we are in this time. May Brahma allow us to achieve our goal. Om Brahma Brahaspati Vishnu Som Surya Stan Santana Vishnu Bhago Mitra Varun Vidam Dadatu May Sutam. May Lord Brahma, Brahaspati Devata, or the planet Jupiter, Lord Vishnu, Som, Surya, Ashwin Kumar, Mitra, Varun, have divine, with their divine powers, grant to us the divine child that we are praying for. May that divinity come to us. Husband and wife then come together. And in the copulation of the two of them, Garud Puran says, Daik, Vata, Arka, Prachet, the two Ashwin, Vani, Upindra, Mitra, all of them start their energies, may they form as the cells are growing. Ida, Pingala, Sauna, others, Gandhari, all these energies, winds, different prana, apanaya, samanaya, udanaya, vyanaya, all of these things start to come together to make the different regions, the different portions, the different parts of the child. The ability to vomit is called naga. May that sit within the body. The opening and the shutting of the eyes, kurma. May that sit within the body. Because there are some people who cannot wink properly. There are some people that overdo it. Some people that don't know how to do it, or the timing. Their body is in deficiency when it comes to that. The ability to know when you are hungry, krikala. There are some people who don't know when they're full, when to stop. The ability to yawn, to allow extra oxygen to reach into your body when it is low, Devdatta. All these different things, these different airs, the different energies. Let's use the word energies for everybody to understand. Energies. As these two are coming together, all of this invocation happens so that the best body can be made. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. When this happens, according to the Griha Sutra, and we have dealt with the limits of this Garbha, then before we move forward, Garbha means the womb, that word. So when before the coming together or the conception or the act of conceiving happens, you will hear things like Garbha, Raksha Stotra, Garbha, Sutakam, Mantra, Bij Mantra, etc. Garbha means the praise that is allowing the womb to be ready, allowing the hormones in the woman to be ready. Imagine in today's world where we practice things like in vitro fertilization, IVF. People check the moon. You know what? I want to have that coming together of the egg and the sperm on the best day, Baba, so that we can have a positive outcome. And they look, with consultation with Baba, they would choose the right day. They want son, they want daughter, whatever it be. And they read and they pray and they say the correct stuff. Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. Before we go forward, let me just clarify 1 or 2 points. Believe it or not, this sanskar is something that you do in discussion, in planning, in consultation with your priest, your pandit, your guru. People call me, Babs, we want to plan a family, we want to get into that way, and we want to, gain guidance, learn about the mantras, the puja, because there is different prayer, especially when you come to the havan associated to this prayer that husband and wife do on their own. It is private, but the first thing is, if you are going to bring about the best child, you have to be the best parents. This is not, and this I guess is the mistake that some people make. I'm ready to have a child, so let's go and make a child. But when you do that, and you can't do that, the quality of the child that is coming is in question. As you heard, different nights bring about different temperaments, different souls. So if it comes back to you want the best child, especially healthy, long living. I don't want to be the parent that has to stand over the box of my child, Pandit. Then I invite you to do it properly. Consult with your guru. Have such a person that could guide you in every aspect, every step of your life. Not only when you have exams, not only on your wedding day, but every day. See them marry and then going into family life and every prayer you could imagine along the way. So for me personally, as Pandit Keshava in the ashram here, when people reach at this point where they want to reach, they want to have family life, the first thing you do, you talk to them, just like how I'm talking to you tonight, about the prayer and what it means. And Garbha means the womb, and Dhan means the wealth. Dhan Lakshmi. So the wealth of the womb. When the person is practicing Grihasti ashram lifestyle and bringing that spirituality now into the child making time, you will get the wealth or the goodness, the reward that could come from that womb, because in the form of one righteous child, Gerd Puran said that, one righteous child will uplift an entire family. If you are going to have the pregnancy, bring the Krishna, don't bring the Kans. Bring the Ram, not the Ravan, in an example. So just as how we sit and we plan for wedding, we plan for funeral, a little talk. It starts with, is there anybody that committed suicide? We need to do Nandi Mukshrad, and then give you the information about how to do the Garbhadan ceremony, the puja, guiding you what to do, how to say the prayer, practicing the prayer. Do you know, for example, whenever I check somebody's patra and I'm giving them prayer, I always put on in the information a sheet showing you how to use your mantra, your bead, your mala. Remember the rule? Stick out your finger, your index finger is not involved. On your middle finger, tread carefully. And the whole rule with the Sumiru and all that. We cannot afford, just like this example, we cannot afford to assume you know. A teacher's job is to teach the necessary information, preparing you for your life. Even in our olden times, people would prepare a brahmachari for grihasti ashram, because copulation now has become something that is perverted. Husband and wife coming together has become tainted. But in our text, for example, when Lord Shiva marries Mother Parvati, it is said that the universe grew, it expanded by the coming together of the Purusha and the Prakriti, the male and the female energy, the natural energy. That everything in nature celebrated these two forms that was together in every form. It is something spiritual. It is something deep-rooted. And when you approach childbearing in that way, at the very beginning, based on what we've talked so far, what we have arrived at, is that it is possible to control the making of the mind. The outcome is possible if the person does it. Coupled together now with, as I said before, things like gemology, wearing, so that the sun hits the gem and hits into the vein underneath through the ray of light, permeates throughout the mother's body and raises her aura. As we were hearing last night, what is the significance of all this? This is the secret that Arjun and Subhadra did. Subhadra is the lady who is taught in her own home about the value of Garbhadan and all the sanskars. So when she knows her husband is ready to have children, she puts herself in place, fasting, preparing, purifying mind and body, getting ready to hold the right type of child that you want, the powerful child that you want. And it began with the husband touching his wife and praying that Lord Vishnu allow copulation to bring forward fertilization. Abhimanyu his story begins in the womb. The third month sanskar, or the Pun Shavanam sanskar, when we do the worship, it is to stabilize the pregnancy. Usually, depending on the pregnancy, between 8 and 11 weeks, just before the 12th week juncture, this prayer is done. It's a full sanskar. And what you're praying for is that let this baby, let this life become stable. At that time, there are no organs, there are no features, but it is growing slowly. What is there is nerves. So let the body have proper brain. Let all the neurons form properly, so that the brain, the functioning, the behavior, the frontal lobe. You ever notice how when we are bowing to Krishna, you are touching your head? Dear Lord, my personality, my persona lives in this region of the brain. Let your energy, let your divine grace sit here and make me from who I am to better. Let your energy come to me. That is why we don't bow like this. You ever see somebody bow and they bow so? Why here? Think about what I'm saying. Why only here? Why don't we bow to our chin? God is pervading over my body. Why not bow here? Because this is my intellect. This is my decision-making center. This is the CPU in the computer. And I'm saying, God, may you do your magic and allow me to make better decisions, be a better person, be guided. In this example, be guided in such a way that when I come as a father, as a mother, we must be successful. 1, do it the right way so that we can gain the right outcome. To gain the right outcome. Vrindavan Bihari Ki Jai. Punshavanam Sanskar is also the welcoming of the baby into the family. The soul is now here, and in it we welcome. In some culture, in some parts of this world, this is where they put tikka. The ladies go one side, it's a private thing. And you know, like how we cordon off a murti when we're dressing a Durga murti, they cordon off the lady, or they put her in a separate room, and they expose the top part of the belly. And the mother-in-law in particular puts a chandan and the arati, this baby that we are waiting for you. In Trinidad culture, you see it more in the 8th month when they're doing the Shashti Puja. And in it there is where they pray that may you please, baby, wait. 8 months, wait to term. Let your lung develop properly so that you can breathe properly. In these sanskars that allow the child to develop, think about the planning, the thought, the love, the blessing. Child is born yet. 3 months we just talked about the neurons and the brain and the nerve development. In the 6th month, in that Simtunayan sanskar, this is where they're talking about the organs are starting to come together. May it form properly. The mother may not be in the best state depending on the lady. The father is taking up the mantle. If she's able, she can join in. Sometimes it's difficult for her to sit by the baby. Sometimes it's difficult for her to sit one place. The belly is starting to get big. And the prayer caters for that. But the energies that go to form the kidney, the heart, for the parent here tonight that is wondering, why did God make this child so sickly? Why is my child differently abled? Here is a way for other parents to learn. I'm sorry I couldn't give you this information before, but prayers move mountains. Don't feel I am talking about things that are, taboo. Our own pervertedness makes these things taboo. But in our text, Lord Krishna says, and I'm reminding you, O Arjun, chapter 7, verse 11, check it for me. I want you to check it. I would like you to check it. And message me, please. What are your thoughts? Of the mighty, I am the might. I am what makes people mighty. Free from passion and desire, I am free from passion. But in beings, when I stand in the heart, Lord Krishna live here. In them, I am the sexual desire, not conflicting with virtue and scriptural junction. To understand what he is saying here, we understand that further by the discussion of these sanskar, the Griha Sutra guiding husband and wife. One of the scriptural injunctions talks about having respect for the lady. In the last yagya I did with Sankhya, we spoke at length about how women are supposed to be treated. One of the blessings that Abhimanyu had is that he is able to achieve the blessings not only of his mother, but of his family because of the respect he showed to women. He would bow to his mother's foot before he goes to the battle. And if you read the discourse or you happen to read it, very rarely is his name used. Throughout that text, what we read last night, that entire Abhimanyu Parva, Subhadra's son, the son of Subhadra's son, and like that it goes. With that blessing, this personality and persona is allowed to achieve greatness. Let's hear, as we are talking about, the chakras in the body is coming together now. As the 6th month is passing, going on to the 8th month. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shakti Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namah
Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Shakti Rupena Samstita
Muladharaha Swadhisthanatam Manipura Kamevascha Anahanta Vishud Yeta Yamta Ye Pasha Chakrayate Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu
Shakti Rupena Samstita
Namastasye Namastasye
Namastasye Namo Namah Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu
Shakti Rupena Samstita. I'm just given just one or two sloka. I'm not going too deep into this chakra. He says, as the body is forming with all the different elements and all the different winds, now it is time for the Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipurak, Anahatam, Vishuddhi, Ajna. The 6 chakras are going to be placed within the body. He says, one should meditate in the order of the chakra, at the root of the private organ, in the region of the pelvis, the navel, the heart, the throat, between the eyebrow and at the top of the head. They are located. He describes how they look. When you see people draw 4 petals for the Mooladhara, the Swadhi is 6 petals, and so the Visuddhi has 16 petals. Different ways of explaining the energies centers that are in the body. But this is why when these things are being formed in the sanskar, in the puja, Ganesh, Vishnu, Shiva, the Jiv, the Guru, Parabrahm are sitting on all those pedestal or petal, if you call it that, within the body. One houses the Jiv Atma. But inside of those petals, those chakras that are open or closed, we hear these terms. The devatas sit on them, just as we see them in the pityas where they have the lotus flower and the devata is sitting on the middle of it. Inside your body, where does God sit? In these chakra that exists in the body. If the chakra is open, if it is turning, a person is healthy, able, they are capable. But if something is wrong, if something in some way is interfered with, is underdeveloped, in some way damaged, then the person might go crippled, the person might cannot walk, the person cannot think, the brain, the capability of the individual, the temperament of the individual is going to be different. And this is where we get the word differently abled. For this reason, Garud, worship mentally the chakras that sit within your body and ask that unwavering mind for focus when you do Gayatri Jap based on the instructions of the Guru. Focus to have equilibrium or balance in the body so that health, happiness, mental peace, all these things are possible. When a person meditates on the Kundalini Shakti or the energy that is running between these 6 chakras within the body, the person is able to control themselves, have happiness, etc. And in the coming together of husband and wife, this is where that energy is passed on to the next body that is going to be formed. From perfection comes perfection. Then the person who at Brahm Muhurat gets up early and does the Gayatri Jap and does the prayer, and this is what parents do. When I'm guiding the families, if you need this guidance, as I said, please reach out. Definitely I'll be willing to give you this information at a more personal level. It begins with as we are preparing for that time. I have a doctor appointment, let's say I'm doing IVF, I have a doctor appointment coming up and I want to be prepared. And one of the things that put you in preparation is using the Gayatri Jap. And as we said in Satsang before, Gayatri being the mantra just by repetition. After saying it once, the sin of 24 hours is burnt away. So if I do more of my past sin, it is praschit, it is purifying me. It is getting rid of the karma that might rob me of having a healthy baby, a long-lasting child, an intelligent child, all these things. If that is the karma, I am taking hold, I am taking charge of my life and my karma, and I am going to change it. This is why God created this thing called praschit karma. I can change my destiny. I can change my experience based on my desires using prayer. If we only knew the correct prayer, it would be done. Having done inward sacrifice, inward praying, sacrificing the diet, sacrificing of controlling the air or the pranayama, outward sacrifice or yagya, puja, doing different things, having done purification rites, ablutions, offering of the dar or the arg, etc. Sandhya worship, doing worship for Hari and Hara, Shiva and Vishnu. No, the body is ready to be made, to be formed. With devotion, it's very easy. When a person practices this form of tapasya and yoga, liberation is there. And with that type of purity, with that type of devotion, the best body is going to be formed. And the parents that do this, they are going to have the best outcome. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. Yagya and other sacrifices, righteous duties, purify the mind. And therefore, O Garud, the fruit that comes from this type of devotion follows them in the union between husband and wife, man and woman. And that union continues into the child rearing time when the body is being made. Before we do portions of this Shashti, let me give you the backstory. In Brahmavaivat Puran, Priyabrat is an expecting father. And he is getting ready, seeing his wife grow and blossom. She's glowing, as if, just as in Bhagavad, when they're talking about when Krishna is coming, how Devaki started to glow as if a light is in her. Something great is coming, Vasudeva said. Priyabhat wife is the same way. And the delivery date is here, and the woman would not make the baby. She continues. This is why we worship the shaligram. When a person cannot, the child is not coming, there are different methods. The doctor will give you one set of procedures to follow to bring down the baby. Then there is the rubbing method, and then lastly, nursing shaligram. We worship him, wash him. People come in the ashram very regular. We have to store him in water so that they can collect that water and with prayer go to the hospital, give it to the girls, and as they drink it, give them a half an hour, give them an hour, child coming. Prayer, but Prat did the same, but the child is born perfect. The child is born 10 toes, 10 fingers, but lifeless. The child is born dead, and the mother is hysterical. The mother loses it. And this father has to scoop up this still blood-covered, wet body. Out of sight, out of mind, to save his wife. He has to move the body. And he's walking to burn the body. And he's talking to that mother, Mother, I don't know, but I need your help now. This is the prayer we're about to chant. It comes from Brahmavaivat Puran, but to be honest, this prayer, as prayer brought when Shashti Devi takes appearance, Shashti Mata is one of the Sodas Matrika. She is the daughter-in-law of Lord Shiva. She is the wife of Kartik. She's the one in charge of children. She's the one that gives the mother the ability to make milk. One point I want to make before we start this. I went to school to learn maths. I went to school to learn English. I went to school to learn to drive. I went to cooking school to learn how to cook. I did a course to learn how to sew. Have you ever heard, I always use this example because it happens to me regularly. I go to prayers, how that child crying? So the child hungry? And the woman, the mother would reply, no, Baba, that cry means that child want to sleep. That means that child want me to pick him up. That mother could understand a language that nobody never taught me. They are not words. It is not comprehensible what the child bawling and throwing a tantrum. What this child saying, I don't know. But the mother understands. Are you like that? Did that happen to you? Explain that for me. Another example. Mother and father, whenever they first have to leave that child, it is, it is a hard thing to leave the child, maybe with grandparents or whosoever. The first outing after having the baby. And you will hear the lady say, at some distance, milk is running from her bosom. Call home now, make sure the child is crying, make sure the child is okay. Who makes that linkage between the child and the mother? There are so many examples of this. All right, last example. When you were single, before marriage, before children, you only, as a girl, did you love children? Think what I say. Did you have that level of compassion? That level of patience? Now you're a mother, and the ability to love something other than yourself is indescribable. Who gives you that? In Hinduism, we call her Shashti. She gives the mother the knowledge, instinct, maternal instinct we call it. Those instincts, those things that give her the knowledge to be the best mother, to caress, console, to take away all the pain and all the trouble. When anybody has a trouble, what do? You go by your mother. And that mother has that because of this lady. So why am I saying this? On nights like Shivratri, Navratri, when we're planning, when we're getting ready to do the Garbhadan, to come together to have the conception. Sometimes for 6 months or 1 year vrat, where on the 6th day after the new moon, 6th day or the Shashti Tithi, after the full moon, people worship Shashti Devi with sweet rice, kheer, where the rice is boiled in milk, and they put nuts and they put different types of healthy things. And Om Hring Shashti Divyai Nama, the mantra, the beach mantra, Swaha. And they worship Mother. The Brahm Vaivat talks about putting the shaligram in a kalsa and doing the puja there. Tonight I want to read with you the stotra that Priya Brat says as he's walking with his body, and as a result of the prayer, the child is revived. The child's body came back to life. And if you are having problems with your children, this is one example of a prayer that would help. What you cannot solve, what you cannot fix, the attitude, the behavior, all these different things. Is it hopeless? It seems like that. But with consultation with your Pandit, with your Guru, just as how you made the child, just as how there is prayer to keep the child, just as how there is prayer to welcome the child, there is further sanskar after the child is born, how we prepare that set of development and change and growth. But the child is changing as hormones is coming, as adulthood is coming, and the behavior sometimes make them do crazy things. And Devi is right there on the side. It is just for you to learn a different prayer, a different level of spirituality. Maybe when we are single, we're doing Saraswati Puja to remember the exam. When we get married, we're doing Saraswati Puja. Vani Devi, help me to forget everything this man I married, this woman I married. Forget all the hurt, all the argument, all the trouble. Forget that, leave that, forget that. I have to be able to move forward. Otherwise, I'll become a monster. That same Saraswati Mata gives you the language to reach a child in their inner, in their heart, in their mind, to win them over. I always remember my grandmother when we were small, and you get the cold, playing in the rain and the yard and so on, and you get the little sniffles, and you come inside. In those days, the most popular cough syrup was Buckley's. Best medicine, worst tasting thing you could imagine, children. But when your grandmother giving you something with so much love, you can't say no. Ma giving you something. If I had to take it myself, even till today, I'll twist my face. But Ma had a way. Babe, open your mouth. Look, the airplane coming. The airplane coming. I am not that stupid. I know the spoon is not an airplane. But look, my grandmother playing with me, and I so dotish. In your mouth, whoop. How many parents have that art? Do you have that art? Did God bless you with that ability? Tell me what textbook, where did you go to school to learn that? This is the divinity. This is the spirituality of life. And God is weaving His work inside of us and outside of us, and we so blind we cannot see it. This is just to open your eyes to a little morsel of it. Why do you pray? Because he is working around you and he is working within you, and you're asking that energy, please work the way I would like it to be. I am begging. When I acknowledge his intricate ways outside and inside of me, and I'm using English for children to understand, then you have a better, clearer understanding that if I am going to get married, I need to consult with him. If I am going to have a child, I depend on him. Did you remember the verse? O son of Devaki, O universal Lord, O Krishna, give me, this mantra says for a son, there are mantras for daughters, give me a son like you. I take refuge in you. Therefore, responsible parents, people that don't want to go through the pain that other people go through. Conception is very important, because you could be making an Abhimanyu that's perfect, but it's short-lived. Prayers is important. When you go into Sri Purana and you're talking about the history of the Triambakam mantra, the Mrityunjay mantra, again a 16-year-old boy that is predestined to die. Parents were praying for a child. God appears and he says, will you have a bad child that will live very long, or a good child that will live to 16? At that time they're desperate, they want a good child. And we will take the 16-year-old child. Some child is better than no child. But now 14 is hanging over them like a cloud of darkness. We're going to lose our child, we're going to lose our child. And it is bothering them. And then they teach him, go and pray to Mahadi when they disclose that you could die. And the child goes and he does that Mrityunjay mantra with ardent devotion, fixated devotion, purposeful devotion. And when Yamraj and the Yamdut appear and they are ready to drag the soul out of that body, Mahadev Baba, Nandi, Som Nandi come with force and say, leave that child alone, leave my child alone. Mrityunjay mantra says the devotee or the chanter of this mantra will be protected from the grasp of Yamraj. So powerful is this mantra. So there is prayer, there is a precedent for this. It is possible to use prayer to fix things, to use prayer to make things. It is possible. It is just we need to practice it. But remember, we are grihasti people. We are living in the householder lifestyle. So we must know how to purify ourselves. We talked about the use of Gayatri mantra when we are having bath. Now we are talking about time for husband and wife to come together, to have sex, to conceive a child, and how to make the best child that will bring healthiness, happiness, wealth, prosperity, the right type of Shrad when the time comes to help the ancestors. According to Garuda Puran, one righteous child will lift a family because of their good choices, their good deeds, their good acts, their good thoughts, etc. Their goodness. From good children come good grandchildren. Tonight, as I wrap up my discourse, I hope I did not offend anybody. I know I am touching a very touchy topic. How the pundits say that. The truth is, as I've referenced, it is in our text. The Griha Sutras are books written by great individuals to guide you and I in this Grihasti ashram. The word ashram, to reiterate, expresses the spirituality, that this learning that is supposed to happen, but it is a time for you to learn about those things. But what we do is, we don't pay too much attention to it. Instead, we focus on when we are going to be sannyasi or when we are brahmachari. But being grihasti is the happiest ashram in our text, the most praiseworthy, because you are comfortable, and in that comfort you are able to attain greatness if done properly. Lord Krishna says, I am the sexual desire that is boundaried by scriptural injunction. Tonight, I am sure, I'm telling you, I can't do this entire thing in one night discourse. It is a broad topic. I just wanted to broach the topic to you, introduce it to you. If you have questions, please feel free to message me on WhatsApp. You have my number. You can message me on YouTube if you're looking at this in replay. I look forward to having that correspondence, that banter with you. And respectfully, we're going to grow together as we try to, from a societal perspective, make the best children we can. It is enough of birth defects. It is enough of parents burying and burning their children. Let's get out of that. And let's do it the way it is supposed to be done. Tonight, I invite everybody to clasp your hands as we do these verses of the Shashti Stotra. This Shashti Stotra is just one example of a prayer that is done prior, prenatal and postnatal, after conception, to guide the development of the child. And tomorrow night, as we will do Bhagavad discourse dealing with the history of how Vaman Devta, how Lord Vishnu comes in that Vaman, what did his mother and father do to elucidate the practices and the power of the prayer of parents. Let's all join together. Please draw your hands as we say prayer. As I'll just do a couple of verses before we conclude. Suputradanam cha shubhadanam dayarupam jagat prashu Shweta champaka varnabhyam ratna bhushana bhushitam Pavitra rupanam paramam devanam snenam param bhaje Namo divyai mahadivyai siddhai shantaya namo nama Shubhaya devaya senaya shashti divyai namo nama Varadaya putradaya Dhyandaya namo nama Sukadaya mokshadaya Shashti divyai namo nama Srishtaya shashtaya swarupanaya Siddhaya cha namo nama Mahaaya siddhaya yoginaya Shashti divyai namo nama Saradaya saradaya cha paradevyaya namo nama Baladrishtaya devaya cha Shashti divyai namo nama Kalanan dhanaya kalyan nayanaya paladhaya cha karmanam pratakshayascha sarva bhaktanam shashti divyai namo namaha Dhyanam dehi priyam dehi putrang dehi sureshwari dharam dehi yasho dehi shashti divyai namo namah Shashti stotraidam pradhan yashrunuyati vatsaram aputro labhayate putrang varang suchir jivanam. If the person reads the prayer of Shashti Mata, if the person listens to the prayer of Shashti Mata for 1 year, the person who is unable to have children will get children. Such is the boon of Shashti Mata, such is the blessing of Shashti Mata, that the person will have healthy, beautiful, intelligent, internally, externally beautiful children. Salutations to you, O Goddess of all Goddess, the giver of power, peace, salutations to you. Please, O Dev Sena, which is another name for mother. She is, as I said, one of the Matrika. May you, Ma, as I bow to you, may you give me that which I desire, which is children of a certain caliber. Tonight, as I conclude, I hope that you have enjoyed our little discourse. I know for some it would be a little different. I know for some it would be enlightening. Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Janavallabha Jai Gopi Janavallabha Jai Giridhardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana
Braja Janaranjana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Giridhar Dhari, Jai Radha
Madhava, Jai Kunja Vihari.
Murali Manohar Karuna Sagar, Murali Manohar Karuna Sagar, Murali Manohar Karuna Sagar, Jai Govardhan Dhari, Jai Govardhan Dhari, Jai Giri.
Varadari.
You know, in that prayer where we says, Krishna, I want a child like you. Yashodanandana, son of Yashoda, delight of all that live in Vrindavan. You who played on the bank of the Yamuna till the day he's leaving to go back to Vaikuntha. Come into my home. That's the message. If that prayer is echoed by parents and his bhajan is sung by the devotee, in this way we are praying for that divinity to come into our home, into our lives. Jai Radha Madhava, Jai Kunja Vihari, Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jai Girivardhari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jai Kunja Vihari. Krishna, you are the joy of Radha. You are the inner dweller of all. Oh, lover of the cow, holder of the Govardhan hill. Tonight I pray on behalf of all the parents looking. O Kanha, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Dear Lord, maybe we are hearing this for the first time. Bless those parents that are going into that road. Give them this light so that they would be able to reach their destination of having healthy, happy children. But dear God, if it is that this is after the fact, and parents are watching, and they are throwing their hands up into the air looking for help, some assistance for those people in the hospital with sickly, with dying children. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jai Radha Madhava, Jai Kunja Vihari. Watch how Mama guide his work, just as how my grandmother. Keshava, open your mouth, look the aeroplane coming. Baby, open your mouth. Jai Radha Madhava, here Mama Gai, O love of Radha, O Kunj Bihari, O Gopi Jana, you who lover of all the gopis, you are so popular, you who kept all the cows, come, help, help. In prayer, isn't that what we say to God? Dear God, I need help. The Pandit says it in his mantras. Help this person. They need some assistance. They need help. The person doing the puja, the Shrota, has to say, dear God, help is health. Help is security. Help is finance. Help is love. Help is children. Dear God, bless me with happiness. Dear God, the Pandit. Dear God, Omkar doing puja, bless him to be happy. But Omkar's job is to say, dear God, between me and you, in my heart, happiness will be if I could pay out my debts, if I can overcome the sickness, if I can overcome my fear. If I have a phobia of going on an escalator. I'm afraid but ashamed to tell anybody. Help me to overcome my fear, dear God. And how do you do it? With a humble attitude. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. With humility, with peace in your heart, with love in your veins for your Lord. You sing for Him and you call Him and you beg humbly, I need help. For the children in the hospital, for the children in the social services, in the orphanage, etc. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madhava, Jai Kunja Bihari. Praise is patience. Praise does not work as you want it. Praise works when God wants it. And if you are a devotee tonight, as I'm wrapping up, practice patience with Him. If you know God, He's slow to come, but He's sure, He's coming. And for those people that are having difficulty with your children, and you're being tested, and the question is, Baba, what did I do? Take it to Him. With Gayatri, with your prayer, with your praise, with your puja, do it. Tomorrow night, as I conclude tonight, tomorrow night, join with me, be viewing, as we'll be doing Payo Brat, a little more on that, and the discourse of what happened, what transpired for Lord Vishnu to come in that form known as Vaman. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. Let's all say final pratna, prayer together. Please clasp your hands wherever you are viewing, close your eyes, and after discussing all these things, pray to God. Dear Lord, thank you for this time. Sitting together in this home, we have prayed, we have done worship. By the virtue of our sponsor, may you bless their team, bless that business in this economical downturn that has taken this country and this world, dear God. Help these business stay afloat and flourish. Bring them back, dear God. Save them by their work, by their input. So many people are able to share in more and more satsang. They are doing your work, dear God. Bless them. Bless every person viewing, every person who has absorbed your discourse, and allow them to put it into practice so that the qualities of our younger generation could improve somewhat. Thank you for this time spent in prayer. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva
Bandhu
Shasaka Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Prem Svala Umapati Mahadeva Ki Jai. Umapati Mahadeva Ki Jai. Shri Adi Shakti Mata Shashti Mata Ki Jai. Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai. Satya Sanatan Dharma Ki Jai. Jai Jai Sitaram. Sitaram, everybody. Till tomorrow night, please share the satsang, share the YouTube video, subscribe to the channel. Feel free to take my number, everybody, and send me a message. Till tomorrow, may God bless you. Sitaram.
Sitaram, and thank you for joining us. That was a very informative and beautiful satsang presented by Pandit Keshava Gosine. You can call or WhatsApp Panditji at 712-2180. Sitaram.